On a starry night 2,000 years ago, a group of men known as the Magi set out to follow what they believed was a sign from heaven, a sign that announced the birth of a new king, the King of the Jews. Beginning their journey likely in the lands of Persia or Babylonia, they traveled west until they reached the land of the Jews, known as Judea. Here they would announce that they were looking for the newborn king because they had seen his star rise in the east. One of the great mysteries concerning the birth of Jesus Christ is the Star of Bethlehem. Found in Matthew chapter 2, the account has fascinated millions of people over the last 2 millennia. It is in verse 9 that we read one of the more interesting details. Quote, "They, the Magi, went on their way, and the star they had seen in the east went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was." Unquote. The wording of the verse is intriguing. How can a star stop over a specific spot? An important question thus arises. What was the Star of Bethlehem? Different theories to explain the star have included a conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn that occurred in the year 7 BC, a supernova, or even a comet. In fact, Halley's Comet passed overhead in 12 BC. Each of these theories sound plausible until you dig a little deeper. Halley's Comet could not have been the star because it passed over roughly 8 years too early, and the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn did not look like one giant bright star, as they were still 1 degree apart and thus not directly on top of each other. The big problem is that planets, stars, and comets do not move and stop over a specific location on Earth, as Matthew chapter 2 verse 9 requires. Because of these problems, other scholars have proposed solutions, including the fact that the star looked like it was moving, as stationary objects in the sky appear to move with the traveler. Another scholar believes that the moving star may even allude to the pillar of cloud that moved with the Israelites in the wilderness after the Exodus. The problem is that the text treats the star as a real object in the sky that the Magi were following. These solutions are simply ways to deal with the fact that normal objects in the sky do not move in the way that Matthew describes. All of these difficulties have led some scholars to believe that the star was a supernatural event. There is good reason to believe that the Star of Bethlehem may not have been an object in outer space, but instead an angel. Numerous passages in the Bible use the word star figuratively for angels. One of the best known is Isaiah chapter 14, verses 2 to 21. This is where we get the word Lucifer. Verse 12 says, "How you have fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of the dawn." The context of the passage points strongly to the star representing both the king of Babylon and Satan. Given this background, it makes sense when Jesus says in Luke chapter 10 verse 18, "I watched Satan fall from heaven like a flash of lightning." The book of Revelation uses stars to represent angels on more than one occasion. Chapter 9 verse 1 says that a star fell from heaven and opened the abyss, and this star is referred to as a he. Chapter 12 verse 4 says that the red dragon swept down a third of the stars from heaven to earth. A few verses later, Satan and his angels are thrown down to earth. Stars may also represent angels in Revelation chapter 1 verse 20. There are other passages in Scripture where stars are used to represent angels. In Job chapter 38, the morning stars sing when God creates the earth. Morning stars and angels parallel each other in verse 7, indicating they are the same. Stars also represent heavenly beings in Judges chapter 5 verse 20. The idea that the Star of Bethlehem was not an object in outer space, but an angel instead, is foreign or even crazy to many people. However, given the fact that Matthew reports that the Magi were following something real, and that nothing in the natural world fits, we need to look elsewhere. I do believe that the Star of Bethlehem was a supernatural event, and considering that stars are often used to represent angels in other parts of Scripture, it is possible that the star was a heavenly being that guided the Magi 2,000 years ago. Like and subscribe, and visit my website, ChristianWorldviewPress.com. Link is in the description.